Hello, finally. So let me just check if I can see myself. Oh, hold on. Okay, so so hello everyone. My name is Nahuna. I am the founder of the Nahuna Haven. Oh, hold on. How do I mute this? I am the founder of the Nahuna Haven. Oh, hold on. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn that off. So I'm the founder of the Nahuna Haven for Minority Women Incorporated. Um, this is a nonprofit organization that I founded in order to support single Black mothers. Today is my first live stream. I'm so excited. Um, and I just decided that with everything that's going on with the new president and all of the laws that he's enacting, all of the executive orders, and what that would mean for us as single mothers, it's been really heavy on me to start to dissect Project 2025 in this medium so that, like we can come together as a community to, just actually analyze like how it can affect us as single mothers. Um, it's gonna be a whole lot of me learning today when it comes to going live stream. This is the first time I've ever done it. Um, it took a lot of, learning today. I learned it all in one day, so bear with me. So this series, Learning Project 2025, is going to be happening for 2 weeks, starting from today. Today was the trial day, the first day, and it was just like a learning day to really get the groove of how this goes. And then moving forward, we will be scheduled to have this um, lives at 6:04. Um, so 6:04 p.m. every day for the next 2 weeks. So today we'll delve into a little bit of Project 2025 from what my first readings were. So it won't be super heavy as it relates to like, single motherhood. It will just be like a general kickoff of what like the general starting of Project 2025 was. Excuse me. Bless me. So let's get started. So the way that I um, broke down my reading for Project 2025 was that I basically like chose a section to read and then took notes as I was reading, right? So there's a section, and then for all of my notes, I've sectioned them off, and it's lessons learned. what is the real reason this is happening. So Project 2025 is basically like written as a manifesto or as like a guideline for Republican leaders, conservative leaders on like what their goals should be while they're in office, right? So it really just tells those leaders like what to do and how to implement whatever or what their goals should be while they're in office. So one of the sections in my notes is titled, "What is the real reason this is happening?" Right? The next, the next section that I have is facts that are being presented. And when I say facts, I'm using that word very lightly because something that's very unique about Project 2025 is that the authors create the facts that they want to bring forward. I'm not saying that, I'm not necessarily saying that they're lying, but I'm saying that some of those facts have been disproven or had never had any basis in reality. So, what they propose as facts or what they present as facts within 2024 isn't necessarily what like factual means like in academia. So it's just like I just wrote it that way in the section because when I'm reading and I'm just like picking out the things that they're saying, I put those things into the different sections that I see that they're like pushing forward for it to be in. And then finally, the last section in my notes that I have is what that section of Project 2024 is promoting, right? So they present what they would want you to think is facts, and then within that, or to conceptualize what it is that they're promoting, what change they want, or what new way of doing things they want to start or begin or, push forward. So I really wanted to double check to make sure. Page 2. Okay. Let me double check to make sure I have, I just want to get for you guys the page in which, okay, so I don't know what I just look like looking through those notes. So the pages that I read that I'm going to be discussing in this live is from page 283 to 287. For the first live, since it's just a test run, I decided to keep it very small because if you've started to read Project 2025, then you'll know that it's a lot. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, so clearly I'm gonna have to pick a time of day to do these lives where there's not a lot of traffic going on. Because where I live, I'm very close to the main door and it's a whole lot of noise. Um, so I think I'm gonna have to pick a better time to do this live. Even though today's live came out later than I planned, at least now I know I have to pick another more quiet time to film these lives because otherwise it's gonna be a lot of noise, which I apologize for in advance. But yeah, 283 to 287 are the pages that I read. And as I was saying before, if you've started to read Project 2025, then you know that the authors condensed a lot of information on each page. So you have to take your time to read it, to really get the gist of what they're saying, to read in between the lines, to go back and like double check to see like if what they're purporting in that section, has actual basis in reality. Um, but they condense a lot of information on each of those pages. So between 283 to 287 is a lot of information. And I think that I would say that Project 2025 is like almost 900 pages. So you can only imagine we are going to need like 2 weeks to really like dig through all of these pages. So with that being said, today I'm going to just do the live discussing what I found in that specific little section that I just mentioned. Um, like the way that I've sectioned them off in my notes, and then and then I'm going to discuss, like what I took away from it as a single mom. And then I'm going to talk about some of the actions that I plan to take in order to protect myself from that specific section if those things get to like come to reality, and what you can do as a single mom also to protect yourself. Um, so, and then not next week, then tomorrow, we'll have some more in depth. I'll start to figure out, a better way to present all this information, a more cohesive way. Today's just a test run, like I said. So let's just go forward with that. Okay. So some of the facts that are presented within that small section between pages 283 to 287, which you probably have already read before you got here, or you're going to read on your own after you watch this video, are as follows. The US has $31 trillion in the national debt between the time span of 1967 to 2020. The Project 2025 claims. And so they go down so then it's like a breakdown. And they break this down into the Department of Health and Human Services has under this own umbrella $17.8 trillion in deficit for just the Department of Health and Human Services. Within that umbrella, that covers Medicaid, Medicare, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and the National Institute of Health. Um, so, so Then they talk about, like, the fact that they want to decrease that debt. Then then they talk about the Department of Justice, and directly under the Department of Justice is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Then they talk about the Department of Energy. Um, and specifically, when they talk about the Department of Energy, they really are honing in on their desire to return to fossil fuels and to get rid of renewable energy sources like windmills. Something I found that was really, a chuckle, was that their argument against having windmills as a source of energy is that they are an eyesore. Um, but saying that they want to return to fossil fuels really positions them, against that whole, like, um, positions them opposite of, saving the planet and trying to mitigate our footprint on the earth as it regards in regards to um, global warming. So they really position themselves, like, in that sense. What I found that was interesting in their argument for returning back to fossil fuels and really not um, really falling in line with um, renewable sources of energy is that one of the big investors, or like one of the big players within 2025, has his hands also um, in, like, electric cars, which electric cars are supposed to be like a renewable energy kind of situation. It's supposed to be ran through a source of renewable energy, um, and it's supposed to be less abrasive on the earth, right? So there was some inconsistencies there in their argument. Then they broke down the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And their focus, when they were talking about the Department of Housing and Urban Development, their argument was really based in who can live in federally assisted housing, and who can own real estate. A lot of that was that they did not want immigrants to be able to live in federally assisted housing or to be able to own property. Then they started to go into the Department of Agriculture, and I stopped there at that reading. Throughout this time when I was reading this section, a constant question that I had on the forefront of my mind was, they kept pushing forward, like, we're fighting for the freedoms, we're fighting for our freedoms. And the question, they weren't, like, super clear about whose freedom they were fighting for. And so as a reader, I just wanted to know, like, whose freedom is this document seeking to protect or to reinforce, and whose actions resulting in negative effects for others in the community is this document seeking to decriminalize, right? Because you can tell that this document is there to insulate some people, where it's like othering another group of people, and it's not like, it doesn't hit it right on the nail just yet who those people are that it's trying to protect. But that's one of the biggest questions that was at the forefront of my mind when I was reading this section. So one thing I can say about Project 2025 so far while I've been reading it is that, as much as I hate to say it, reading Project 2025 so far has really allowed me as an American to understand better the infrastructure of our government, of the country, and like where these different departments fall into place. Prior to reading Project 2025, to be really honest with you, I didn't understand where it all happened, or like I didn't it, they made it very clear. That's, you have to give the kudos where the kudos are due. Project 2025 makes it really easy for you to understand in layman's terms, like the infrastructure of our government, of our country. So that's a kudos I can give it. Though I don't agree with most of it so far, structurally, I can say that this document allows the regular everyday person to have a better understanding of how infrastructure happens within the United States. So that was my notes on the facts that were being presented in that small section. So then we can go into what's being promoted between pages 283 to 287, right? And here are some of the notes that I put down that's being promoted. Free speech on the internet, they really dug into that. They want free speech on the internet. They want border reinforcements. They want federal immigration laws. They want to dismantle criminal organizations and target violent career criminals, right? And something that they do that was new to me is that first they set up for you, like, these are the groups that we're going after. We're going after criminals. We're going after cartels. We're going after organized crime, right? Because they put them in like, these are the criminals, and we're only going after the criminals. And then a little bit further down in the document, the authors tell you who the criminals are. They give you, it's not what you would necessarily think of, like a hard black and white, or a hard line between this is what a criminal is by law. It's more so what the authors are, is like who the authors are saying are criminals. They're like, we're going after the criminals and criminal organizations, and these are the people who we deem as criminals. And so by default, the people we deem as criminals you should know that these are the people that we're going to go after, which is something I've never like seen like so plainly stated. But in 2025, in Project 2025, that's what they're doing. Moreover, something that they're promoting is like this idea of the woke educational cartel, like verbatim, that's what they call it, the woke educational cartel. And that's on page 285 if you're interested to like read it for yourself. So they're really like taking this whole like education thing seriously. They're really going after like this a specific brand of education that they think is harmful, or that they're declaring is harmful. So and they name it. See how they put like cartel. We all know cartels are like people who are generally known for like, selling drugs and, just doing things that are outside of the law. And so when they put woke educational and then they put cartel there, it's automatically like a dog whistle to their followers that, yeah, these are remember those people we said, those criminals we said we were going to go after? Yeah, these woke educational people, they're cartels, which means they're criminals, and so we're going after them. It's kind of like that's the structure of Project 2025. Okay, so then We keep moving on, and it says that one of their big goals that so one of the biggest things that they're promoting when it comes to like education is that they want Congress to return control of schools back to the states. And then it says, and they sort of like say why, right? They go into, because Trump administration is confident that with this power returned to the states, states will work seamlessly with the conservative agenda. So with the conservative agenda, which is, to be against this idea of the woke educational cartel. So they really do, they're feeling, the authors are feeling secure that if the elected officials get get um get the control of schools back into the hands of each individual state, that would push forward the conservative agenda, which is directly in opposition of what they are calling the woke educational cartel. So then they talk about something that was new to me. This was something new that I encountered while I was reading. And I read this section prior to the inauguration that just happened in 2025. So on page 286, they say, in quote, they would like to, quote, reinstating Martin Luther King's colorblind society versus the color conscious society theory. So in essence, if you go to read, this is on page 286 of Project 2025, they're basically attributing the idea of colorblindness, right, to Martin Luther King Jr., which, if you have read your history and you know what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood for in his life during his work as an activist against racial injustice, then you would know that this is not what this scholar stood for. It is not what this man stood for. And it's so blatant how disrespectful these authors were to just come out and say that color blindness, this idea of like, we don't see color, would come from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when that is not an idea, that is not what one of the things that Dr. Martin Luther King was pushing forward. He wanted equality for all. He wanted respectful treatment for all men, and that men were judged by their character rather than the color of their skin. He did not say to negate it. He didn't say that, like, you know, we shouldn't look at why somebody is being mistreated, that could possibly have anything to do with the racist inceptions of the systems of this country. Like, they're just like twisting the realities, within Project 2025. They're twisting it so you would have to twist like history in this country, in the United States, in order for you to boldly state that the idea of colorblindness came from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and that's exactly what they did on page 286. And so when inauguration day came, and they had some, I don't know if he was a pastor or what this man was, he came on there, and he was, I don't know if it was his own speech or it was a rendition of Dr. Martin Luther King's old speeches, but, like, Trump was standing behind this man, and then this man was just like going off, and he made his voice sound a little bit like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And it just was appalling to watch a black man do this during the inauguration of Donald Trump in 2025. But being as I had already read this particular section of Project 2025 where they attributed colorblind the whole colorblind idea to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the disrespect that they engaged in by having that guy up there doing this, masquerading as like, Trump could possibly stand for Black empowerment and all this nonsense and sounding like Martin Luther King Jr. It was disrespectful, as a Black person watching something like that be pushed towards us, knowing very well that this conservative party does not respect the experiences of Black America. But I also knew that like they didn't care that it was disrespectful because of what they put on page 286. So okay, excuse me. So then the last part really that from that section that they were promoting was that they were extremely interested in downsizing environmental protections, which there's no, like, that's what they were promoting. And in my opinion, there's no way for anyone to twist that. If any government party or any organization is saying that their primary goal is to downsize environmental protections, the environment where all of us, where all of our children live in and depend on for our survival and our well-being, if they're saying they want to downsize the protection of that environment, there's no way to twist and see how that could be positive. But that's what they're promoting. They're promoting downsizing environmental protections. And so we just went through what they were promoting in that section. We went through the basic facts that they were pushing, facts that they were pushing forward. And so some questions I was left with while reading this that wasn't answered by the time I had finished reading that section was on page 280. This section is titled, "What is the real reason this is happening?" Because while I was reading Project 2025, there were some parts of it where it was just like this argument is lacking. Like you didn't push it all the way through. Like I'm not understanding. Some part of it is not all the way tight. And so there were some questions that I had for about 3 pages. The first page was page 284. And this section talked about reversing subsidies for single motherhood, how is that word pronounced? Disincentivizing work and penalizing marriage. So they sort of like started to, like go around that idea, and it just they didn't finish the thought. And so it left me to that question, like, what subsidies are they trying to reverse that specifically for single mothers? I haven't seen it. And then what is decentralizing work? Like, what's happening currently that the authors of this book are thinking is decentralizing like someone wanting to work. And how exactly is marriage being penalized? Because they didn't actually give like a specific example to support this claim, right? And then the next page was page 285, where they talk about like how the next president should deal with the FBI, right? And so what they're wanting to do, and what they're hoping to do when Trump gets into office, which now at this point that I'm having this live, Trump is already in office, is that they want to um, go into the FBI and eliminate checks and balances by way of eliminating any offices and specific offices. Okay, so what they want to do is they want to go into the FBI and eliminate any offices that they, as the new administration, has the power to eliminate, which at this point we already seen is happening, and not just with the FBI, it's happening with most governmental agencies. They're doing like a big overhaul, and like getting rid of a lot of employees within the federal offices, within federal agencies. So the question about 285 has already been answered by what they're doing in real life, right? But at the time when I was reading the article, it wasn't making sense for me, or like the argument wasn't fully pushed or processed through in that writing. Page 287, what I agree with. So for page 287, it was generally a sense of like the way that the argument is pushed forward, you might want to like agree with it, but then it's like you're not agreeing with it for what the argument is at face value, but it's just like a potential good argument, you know? So um I was just like, I need to keep reading further from like whatever the opinions are on page 287. So then finally, at the end of the section that I read, I wrote down what lesson I learned, right? So the main lesson that I learned when it came to reading this section of Project 2025 was that as an individual, as the head of your household, um, you create your narrative. Um, and you are responsible for honing in on your perspective. And you make sure that your real lived experience is what is pushed forward through the narrative of your real life experience. Is what you lived for real, is what, if anybody asks you, if anybody has to read an account of your life or your work, or what your contributions were or are, that it's really what you lived, right? And it's not, no one can go in there and change it or tweak it and like, bastardize it to be something that you didn't actually live. So So mainly that was the lesson I learned. Do not leave space for anyone to be able to come in and bastardize your real life experience. Make sure that you take control of your truly lived experience, and you take control of any way in which that gets recorded, so that later on down the road, no one can go in behind you and twist your words, or make it seem like you were a type of person that you weren't, or you are a type of person, you were a type of person that you are not, right? And vice versa. So that was the big lesson I learned. Um, Having said all that, um, as we move forward into the as we move forward into our analysis of Project 2025, I want to become more concise in how I analyze it, and more like I want to have a set way of like breaking it down for you guys. Again, today was just a trial run, so please don't hold it against me. And I hope that you were able to, like follow along with me. And I hope that my analysis and what I took away from that short section between pages 283 to 287 can help you understand a bit more, um, or make it a little bit more clear for you in your own reading of Project 2025. Um, you know, at first, let me just be a little bit more frank with you guys. When like we started to hear about Project 2025, I was just like, do I want to get this? Do I wanna, like open up myself to this? Like, and if you're also of that mindset, like, you feel like it's coonery behavior if you download the book, the PDF from their website. I thought about it. I'm like, is that coonery? Is it coon behavior? Um, but it's not. I think it's important that you arm yourself with knowledge. I think it's important that if if something has the potential to affect your life and your everyday, um, how you live your life effectively every day, and how you can plan for your future or your child's future, it's important that you read that and you see what the people who are in power have planned, so that you can adjust your plans, or you can find a way to better protect yourself. um, I think it's important to do that. And if you're on the fence about, downloading the PDF, just do it, read it, and then delete it from your computer. But at least go through it one time and understand it for yourself. Don't just listen to what, like other people are saying. The information is out there, it's readily available to you. Take it, read it, and then decide how you're gonna fix your life, so that whatever part of it that has the ability to like really touch your life doesn't have too much of a negative effect. So thank you for watching this video, and come back again for the next 2 weeks. I will do my best to make it more concise, to make it more comprehensive, um, just to have my thoughts more situated. So now that I know how to do this, like, work the electronical parts of it all. I said electronical, but now that I know how to work the software, that's out of the way, and I can really focus on like doing the reading and figuring out a way to present the information that I understood from Project 2025 in a way where it'll be more beneficial to you as the viewer. So thank you again, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and go onto our website, www.nahounhashaven.org, to sign up for our services. Some are low cost, some are free. And just go to our website, see what we're up to. You can donate to support our work. And you can see if we have any upcoming events that you can be a part of. So thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm not sure what time just yet, but I'll definitely post it in the community tab on YouTube. Okay, bye.